Welcome to the Quilt Addicts Anonymous Block of the Month. I'm Stephanie Sebbing. We've made it. We've got to December, and so to reward you all for following along, we're going to have a contest. So go on to my Facebook page, and there's a link on my website. And before the end of 2014, enter a picture of your quilt, no matter where it's at in its progress. You don't have to have it finished, and if you just did one block and that's it, that's fine. Just put your blocks up there in progress and you'll be entered for a chance to win a $100 gift certificate to fabric.com, and that way you can use it to finish your quilt. Buy some batting or some backing fabric and get that bad boy finished up. Alright, now it's time to get started on our block for December. As always, I'm making this in two colorways because your fabric choices make this quilt look completely different. And we're learning a new technique today. We haven't done it before. We're going to be making flying geese units from squares. It looks a little weird when you're putting it together, but I promise it makes for really accurate flying geese unit piecing, and there's no waste, so you won't be wasting any fabric with this method, and I love it. I won't make flying geese units any other way. We're going to start with something really easy. We're going to do the half square triangles first, and you should be experts at this, but we're going to go over the instructions again just in case you need a reminder. You're going to select 4 3-inch light pink squares and 4 3-inch purple squares. Draw a line from corner to corner on the wrong side of the light pink squares and put them right sides together with the purple squares. Sew a scant 1/4 inch seam on either side of the drawn line and cut the squares apart on the drawn line and press them open with the seams underneath the purple fabric to reveal your half square triangles. You're going to want to square those up to 2.5 inches. Now make sure you get your free printable instructions from quiltaddictsanonymous.com by clicking on the Block of the Month tab, and there is a diagram for putting together the corner units. You're going to take 2 of those half square triangles that we just squared up and 1 2.5 inch light pink square and 1 2.5 inch teal square, and you're going to put those together just like any 4-patch unit. First, put the top and the bottom rows together and then join that to make the corner unit, which should measure 4.5 inches square once you have it all together. Alright, now it's time to start on those flying geese units. Again, it's going to look a little weird as we're putting it together, and at one point you're going to think, how is this going to be a flying geese unit? But I promise it works, and it makes for really accurate piecing, and you have no waste at the end. So select 1 5 1/4 inch light pink square and 4 2 7/8 inch dark pink squares. I know before I've always kind of rounded up in the math for these so that there's room for error. You can't do that with this method of construction. You have to be exact, so that 7/8 of an inch is really important, as long as maintaining a scant 1/4 inch seam as you're sewing this together. Draw a line from corner to corner on the wrong side of the dark pink squares, and with the right sides together, arrange 2 of the dark pink squares on opposite corners of the light pink square. The center corners are going to overlap, as you can see here. Now sew a scant 1/4 inch seam on either side of the drawn lines. They should match up when you get to that center area. And then we're going to cut the halves apart on the drawn line and press it open. And right now, if you see a heart shaped unit, you're doing it right. I know it looks weird, but trust me, we're on the right track. Now you're going to take the remaining dark pink square and you're going to put it in the corner of what is now your half square triangle from your light pink square, and your drawn line should be coming right through the point of that heart-shaped area. Now you're going to sew a scant 1/4 inch on either side of that drawn line and then cut it apart on the drawn line and press it open, and now we have a flying geese unit. So for every large light pink square, you're going to end up with 4 flying geese units. So this is a really efficient way of making the piecing, as well as very accurate. Now when you square up this flying geese unit, you want to be extra careful to make sure that all your points end up where they're supposed to be. So we're squaring this one up to 2.5 inches by 4.5 inches, and it's pretty close. The mass should be pretty right on, so if you piece it together correctly, you shouldn't have too much to trim off. But I'm looking for a few things in particular. One, I'm making sure that the points at the bottom of my flying geese are right at the 2.5 inch mark, and they're right on the edge. So I want it to be right on 4.5 and right on the edge of that ruler. And then the 2.25 mark and the 1/4 inch hash mark on the inside should meet right at this point. And it's a little hard to tell on this ruler because that 1/4 inch is in a continuous line, but that point should be right 1/4 inch in. And if you need to move that around to make that happen, that's very important because that ensures that that point ends up where it's supposed to be when you put the rest of it together. So I'm just giving that just a little bit of a haircut there. I'm not cutting off a whole lot. Again, the mask should be pretty accurate on that, so you shouldn't have too much extra to take off there. So now I'm just flipping it around with my cut edge now lined up, and I'm still making sure that my points are at my 4.5 and then at the edge of my ruler here. Just going to give that one more little trim. And this really makes a big difference, even though you're not taking that much off. It ensures that your flying geese is going to be exactly the size you need it, which makes those points show up exactly where they're supposed to be when you put them together and makes for really accurate piecing. Now for the flying geese unit, we're going to want to pair that with a purple strip, and that strip is going to measure 2.5 inches by 4.5 inches, and put that together with the pointy side of the light pink triangle facing the purple square or the purple strip, and then press that so that it's going toward the purple strip, and then you're ready to put the block together. Make sure you refer to your free printable instructions on quiltaddictsanonymous.com by clicking on the Block of the Month tab. We're just going to sew that together in rows, and this month we're going to press the seam under the outside row, and that's really going to help when we put the whole quilt block or the quilt top together, because now that we press those center rows toward the inside and the outside in alternating months, those seams will all abut. So putting together this border is really similar to putting together the center border or the first piece border that we did earlier in the year. So if you need to, refer to that video for those instructions, but you also have a diagram, assembly diagram, with the months labeled on the block. I thought that would be really helpful for you guys to be able to see the name of the month along with the block to make sure everything gets in the right spot. And again, that's all on your free printable instructions. So thanks so much for following along with me this year. I can't wait to see what your quilts look like on the Facebook contest. Make sure you enter those photos for a chance to win a $100 gift certificate to fabric.com. And stay tuned because I'm going to be releasing the pattern very soon for the 2015 Block of the Month. It's going to look completely different. I've got some fun new ideas for next year. Can't wait to see you all in 2015, and happy quilting!